Cass, it's the biggest signing for Arsenal since Campbell. I think that's fair, isn't it? Ozil was great, but, Ozil wasn't going to win Arsenal the league, I don't think, and Alexis Sanchez was good and players like this. But this is this is A, in terms of who the player is, and B, in terms of what it says about where Arsenal are now. I think we could say that's the biggest signing for 20 years.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go back even a little bit further, I think Bergkamp was a massive one for Arsenal as a football club. But yeah, Sol Campbell, as much as Tottenham fans hated the fault that one of their own players let their contract run out and then moved to the Emirates, or Highbury as it was then. It's a massive coup because it's ambition, and when you've had a season like they've just had, and they've been obviously building to this place in there, where the team is to challenge and be in the top four. They've got to the top four quite quickly. If you think about it in the how they did it last year, and fell away at the end. And I think they're just looking to improve the team. And there's been some tough decisions, at Arsenal. He's had to make a lot of big calls, Arteta. Yeah. And this was one he obviously desperately wanted to get over the line, to make a record bid, to take. I mean,
they've been working on this all year, clearly.
Oh, absolutely. This is a long-term project that they would have had in mind. Can we get it over the line? How ambitious can we be? And Arsenal have achieved that.
And quite often, I mean, this obviously within the game, that there's plan A, and if we don't get plan A, there's plan B. There was no plan B here. There was no plan B. No. I mean, Caicedo's a really good player, but not quite the same player. There was no plan B here. If Arteta wanted to try to take Arsenal to the next stage, this was integral. We have to say one other thing about this, which I think is really, really significant. It doesn't always go down well with football fans these days. You have to applaud the owners. Whatever people think of the Cronkies once upon a time, and they may have been right once upon a time, they have been seriously backed. They stuck by Arteta when things were going very badly, and Arteta was lucky that was happening during COVID, because it meant there was no crowd to give him a hard time. He said, right, this is what I need to do. Are you going to back me? And then they have. They properly backed him.
It's always a difficult one when you know that a number of clubs are after one player. Like Virgil van Dijk. When he came available at Southampton, there was a lot of people that would have taken Van Dijk. Would have been Chelsea, probably Man United at the time.
Oh, City were definitely in for him.
So you're right. I mean, there is a great thing about a number one target. You're so think that is the one that ticks every box that we need. And there are players that do move where the club has gone, we've got to get this particular one. And that's what Arsenal have done. And they've, setting a record fee just shows you what the ambition of where Arsenal are.
And the backing that they've had from the Cronkies. So they're getting on a plane today to go to America. Just talk us through when you went to a new club, doesn't matter, Villa or Chelsea, doesn't matter, Celtic, whatever. What's that first few days like? Because you know a couple of the players, probably from international duty. You might know a couple of the players socially because you grew up with them or live near them or whatever. But there are quite a lot you just don't. What's that like? You're not quite going, hello, I'm TC, nice to meet you. But you know what I mean. What's that like?
Well, the strangest one was when I moved from Millwall to Villa, and it was March because it was the old transfer deadline time was March. So, so there was like 10 games to go. And I joined when Villa were top of the league. Yeah. So that was a really strange one because I was so excited because I've always said one of my biggest regrets that I left Villa so quickly, really, after 15 months because I really did enjoy my time there. And it's a great football club, and you can see, the enthusiasm at Villa Park when it's on. It challenges the very best in the country, and that was. And we ended up. I took them from first to second. We ended up finishing second. So we went down a place, but it was a glorious time. And
but do you feel a bit? Do you feel a bit?
Yeah,
not
very
nervous, a little bit uncertain. Maybe nervous, uncertain.
To this day, I still haven't forgiven Peter Shilton because I played my first game. Derby away, and the Villa fans were there in their thousands. We won 1-0, and it was a great result. But I had probably headed the ball, the best header I've ever did. And Peter Shilton, at 40 years old, has got down right in the bottom corner and tipped and just put it round the post.
What? A bit like Gordon Banks?
Well, it weren't as great as that, but it was a fabulous save. And I remember thinking, how on earth did you save that?
Yeah.
He literally 40 years old. And it took me 7 games to get a goal. I scored my first game after 7 games in the running, which obviously I felt if I could have had a bit more of an impact at the very start. Yeah. Although we won that particular game 1-0, it took me 7 games to get a goal.
The good thing about Declan Rice is he doesn't have to move house. I'm assuming you're not going to move house. You know, that's good because you had to move house and do all that sort of malarkey. He doesn't have to move house.
I was in a hotel for a little while, a number of weeks, and it was March and literally in the running to the season, and then Graham Taylor. I said to Graham Taylor when I signed, I said, because it was rumoured he might be the next England manager, and I said to him, will you be here next season if I'm going to sign? And he said, yeah. And then he took the England job.
Weekend Sports Breakfast with Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino. Sunday mornings from 6 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.